And what's up, everybody? I'm back with another episode of the Talkin' NASCAR podcast. This is Talkin' NASCAR podcast, episode number 95, or no, number 94, actually. We're getting close to 100. Woo, 100, woo. Should be there before the end of the season, which is awesome. As you can see, I am alone today. Hitmaster could not join, sadly, due to schedule constraints. It's okay, though. He'll be back next week. He's doing just fine, so don't worry there. We got a lot to talk about today. Watkins Glen is in the books. As the playoff push gets closer for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series, their second race of the playoffs. So we got a lot to talk about there. We got some silly season news to talk about, just a couple of things. I do have a new drink review to do as well, that we will do in a little bit as well. So that's pretty cool. And then at the end, we will preview this weekend's action at Bristol. And I know that the truck race for Bristol has already happened. Sorry, we'll go over it next week. I'm not going to go over it right now. We'll go over it next week. So, not happening. Also, you can see there's a keyboard on the table back there. That's because I got a new one at Best Buy. Woo! I hopefully will not spill anything on this one, and all the keys do work. Plus, it's a lot nicer of a keyboard. And it's smaller, too. It doesn't take up as much space, which is nice. That's the old one back there, though, on the table, if you were wondering. But anyways, got a lot to do, so let's just jump right into it. And before we talk about Watkins Glen, let me get this drink review out of the way. And it is Watermelon Lemonade Sunkissed. Now, funny story, I actually had this bought and ready to go for last week's episode, and I just completely forgot that I had it. So that's on me. There's another drink that you are going to see next week that I already recorded a review for. It's going to be next week's episode, though. So you'll see that later on. We'll get to that when we get to that. But anyways, Watermelon Lemonade Sunkissed. Another new Sunkissed flavor. I've reviewed quite a few different Sunkissed flavors. And this one looks pretty good. I mean, you always hear about strawberry lemonade, but never watermelon lemonade. So I'm interested to see how this one is going to stack up. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Give it a sniff. Doesn't have that strong of a smell. You can smell the watermelon a little bit. I guess the lemonade too. Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Whoa. Whoa. Ooh. Ooh, that's good. It's definitely stronger on the watermelon side than the lemonade side, but you can definitely taste both. I don't know if they necessarily mix, but they like coexist. You know, they're kind of separate, but you can definitely taste them both, which is good. This is not bad. I definitely like it. I mean, it's not my favorite Sunkissed flavor. I still think that goes to the berry one. I'll give it a 6. 6 out of 10. Not too bad. But you'll be seeing me drink this periodically through the episode, so. But alright, let's get down to NASCAR stuff. So, Watkins Glen. Let's talk about the Xfinity Series first. It was a pretty tame race overall. Nothing too crazy for Watkins Glen standards. Justin Allgaier got stuck in the gravel. Happens all the time. Don't worry, you're not the first one, Justin. Matt DiBenedetto's car failed. Seems his car just died out of nowhere in the bus stop. That was a little surprising. Which then sparked a big one late in the race that took out Austin Hill, Anthony Alfredo, and others. But those were some of the bigger casualties from the wreck. Ty Gibbs had some issues that took him out of the race late as well. Doesn't really matter. He's not in playoff contention, so oh well. But the story of the day. There's a second big one on the final lap too. I mean, it's another big one. Watkins Glen big ones are usually not that crazy because it's just a bunch of cars going around and they mostly continue. But there was a big one on the final lap. Didn't collect anybody too crazy. But the story of the day definitely goes to Connor Zilic for having a great run up front all day, led a ton of laps, and was able to outlast the fuel strategy to win in double overtime for his first career Xfinity Series win. Great job, Connor Zilic. That was a really feel-good story. I didn't get a chance to watch the race, but like coming home and watching the highlights and seeing, oh my God, Connor Zilic won, and he really, really earned it. He was really, really fast all day from what I could see. Was a very, very good, good sign to see. So a good Xfinity race, in my opinion. In my opinion, that was pretty good. And then the Cup race. The Cup race was a little more crazy. There was a big one on the opening lap. Kyle Busch was collected. Denny Hamlin was collected. Ryan Blaney, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. were collected in this crash. I think Stenhouse and Blaney were the only ones that couldn't continue. And Blaney controversially couldn't continue because Blaney was very, very mad in his interview and said that NASCAR parked him. They were going to try and fix the car, but they parked him. And yeah, I mean, he was involved in the crash, but it didn't seem like the crash damage was the reason why his car couldn't continue. And it hit him pretty hard in the points as well. And Denny Hamlin too in the points. It was not a good day overall for Denny Hamlin. You'll see why again here in a little bit. But I mean, remember, Hamlin didn't get any stage points at Atlanta because he hung out in the back waiting for the big one to happen, and it happened on the last lap, and he got taken out in it. So, now wrecking in the first lap of Watkins Glen, not great at all. AJ Allmendinger had mechanical issues pretty early on, took out a big contender for the win, being a road course winner himself, and a former winner at Watkins Glen. It was going to be interesting to see how he could do. Daniel Suarez got stuck in the gravel late in stage 2. And then Denny Hamlin wrecked again in stage 3. Damn. Terrible day for Denny Hamlin. Kaz Grala wrecked late as well, but there was no caution. But there was a caution when Harrison Burton blew a tire and dragged tire debris all across the racetrack. This set up a late restart that set up more of that classic Watkins Glen chaos that I was waiting for. When William Byron and Brad Keselowski got wrecked, and Byron actually got airborne. He just hit at the right angle and flew up in the air a little bit, got stuck in the air on top of Keselowski's car. Both drivers were okay, thankfully, but it was a pretty spectacular wreck, I gotta admit. Thankfully, though, everybody was okay and nothing really crazy came out of it, but it was definitely a wreck to be seen for the eyes. But that wasn't all. Another restart. Tyler Reddick and Kyle Busch tangled around, and Reddick spun out. Spotted another caution. Controversially, I didn't think that one necessarily was needed of a caution. Yes, there was a lot of chaos, but it was all in the back, and none of it was necessarily super crazy to where a car was going to be stopped and they wouldn't need to throw the caution. But they did. They threw the caution. And then it came down to the end of the race, and this is where the pain. So I picked Shane Van Gisbergen in fantasy. And he has the lead on the last lap. And I'm thinking, this is it. We're gonna win. It's Shane Van Gisbergen on a road course. There's no way he fucks this up now, right? We're finally gonna get another win. Shane Van Gisbergen fucked up in the bus stop. How do you mess up the bus stop like that? I don't get it. I feel like it's cursed, rigged. I'm sure if we picked Chris Buescher, that wouldn't have happened. But it did happen. Chris Buescher took advantage of it. past Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen tried to get back at him, but his car was really loose at the end, like it had a tire going down or something. It was enough for Chris Buescher to pull away in the last corner and score the win. And my answer to him winning is fucking finally. He came so close to winning at Darlington, so close to winning at Kansas, and he's had a couple other really good runs that just haven't equated to a win. But he finally gets it done. Maybe it's because of the pressure of not being as off from not being in the playoffs, or just, he ran a really good race, though. He ran a really, really, really good race. So, credit to him. And Shane Van Gisbergen was a good sport about it. You could tell he was mad that he fucked up at the bus stop, and I was too, because I needed that win for fantasy. I don't care that he got stage points. I needed the win, because wins matter. But no, still a really good run for Van Gisbergen. Chris Buescher, really, really good run. He gets the win. He's locked himself into my New Year's Eve Spectacular race, the 21st driver to do it. Woo, there we go. I really thought a new driver was going to get in Atlanta, not Watkins Glen. But that's how the cookie crumbles, I guess. But no, good run for Buescher. Good win. A lot of other drivers, but it was a playoff driver issues all day. I already talked about Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Brad Keselowski both wrecked out late. It was not a great day for Tyler Reddick. He got involved in that late wreck too. So a lot, and Daniel Suarez, he rallied for a pretty good finish, but got stuck in the gravel and missed out on some stage points. So everything really did get changed up pretty quickly as a result. But Harrison Burton had that tire go down, and that was issues for him. Some drivers had a really good day though, like Chase Briscoe. I thought he was going to be in a must-win situation going into Bristol. He's not. And then some other drivers also had some pretty good runs that were able to equate to being in a good situation. So it's still really anybody's race to try and make the second round of the playoffs. It's just going to have to come down to who can do it at Bristol. And we'll get to the standings and everything like that a little bit later on in the episode. But yeah, that was Watkins Glen. Really good racing, Watkins Glen. I am fully convinced that Watkins Glen needs to be in the playoffs more permanently and take the goddamn Roval out. Bring back the oval race at Charlotte at night and put Watkins Glen in the playoffs. That was a great race. Now, Watkins Glen usually does put on some good racing action. It has over the years. But I think that extra chaos of it being in the playoffs really helped it. And the racing was amazing. Great finish. Even though I'm a little mad about it, it's okay. It's still a good finish. There was some exciting action late. Lots of playoff shakeup. That's what we were looking for in the playoffs. You want these wild card tracks. You got Talladega, obviously. Atlanta really wasn't it. And Bristol's not really going to be it either. Neither is Martinsville, in my opinion. But Watkins Glen was it. And it needs to be in the playoffs. I think, it's not going to be in the playoffs next year, but I do think NASCAR should take a consideration to maybe putting it back in the playoffs in 2026, because I don't think they'll be disappointed. I don't. So. But that's going to do it for Watkins Glen. So let's put it in the books. Like I said, just got a couple of things, silly season related to talk about. There was a rumor going around that Corey LaJoie and Justin Haley are switching rides. Now, this is not confirmed. See if I can fix my camera. Hello? Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. I don't know. Corey LaJoie and Justin Haley rumor switching rides. This is not happening, I don't think, but it's not been confirmed or denied. So, could happen, could not happen. I don't know. So, who knows? We don't know. There are two things that are confirmed, though. Big ones. Parker Kligerman announced that he is retiring from full-time racing after the season, after 2024. It's a weird time to go out. He is running really, really good right now. I think he will be in the playoffs, or at least close. He's having a really good season. Granted, he has been racing for a while, but not that long. I do think, though, that NBC is kind of pressuring him to, like, yeah, we want you in the booth, but you need to retire first before we can make that happen. I was like, okay, well, I'll do that. I think that's kind of what it is because, I mean, he's been subpar most of his career. He hasn't had great equipment, though. I have liked him as a pit reporter. And so, if he continues doing that, I don't blame him. But it's going to kind of suck. He's been around, I think, 11 years now, 12 seasons. This will be maybe 13. I don't remember. He did try his hand at Cup, but he was part of that Swan racing team that we all know how that went. And that kind of killed any chance of him running in Cup anymore. So, and I think he's been fine in the Xfinity series. Kind of like Justin Allgaier, Elliott Sadler, like those drivers have just been fine. So, but salute to Parker Kligerman. See you in retirement. Nobody's going to care, though, because Martin Truex is also retiring. So, there you go. And then the other thing that just came out, Bubba Wallace is signing a multi-year extension with 23XI Racing. Is this really surprising? I don't think so. I don't think it's surprising at all. Personally, I am actually surprised it took this long. He's still been pretty average. I mean, he does have the 2 wins, and he has, he almost did make the playoffs this year, but I don't know. He's not been great. I mean, he's been okay. He is driving the staple car, though, and I think this is a good move for him. I don't think they would have gotten anybody better. So, good move overall, in my opinion. But that's really it. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot else. I'm surprised at how slow the news is being. What am I saying? Whatever. I do think it's kind of crazy how slow the news is. Is that what I think? That's what I was trying to say. But all right, we're gonna go for the standings before we preview Bristol for the Xfinity. So trucks and Xfinity and Cup are racing this weekend. Xfinity, it's their cutoff for the playoffs. The Truck Series and the Cup Series are also making their cuts for the first round. So there's a lot at stake. And we've got the time. I might as well reiterate the Truck Series standings as well. We have already talked about it. But so sitting below the cut line. Well, actually, no. Christian Eckes, he's good to go. He's locked into the next round. Ty Majeski in second also, I think, is pretty much good to go at 44 ahead. Corey Heim and Nick Sanchez even, I think, are both, all 4 of those drivers, I think, are good to go. But then it gets a little bit tight after that. Taylor Gray and Tyler Ankrum tied for 5th. 13 above. Daniel Dye, 9 above in 7th. And Grant Enfinger is the last driver into the next round right now, 2 points above. And then you got Ben Rhodes, -2. And Rajah Caruth, -4. So it's a very, very tight bubble for the Truck Series right now. So things are going to get pretty hairy at Bristol, I think. And could see some crazy, crazy stuff to try and get into the next round of the playoffs. For the Xfinity Series, so the 8 drivers... Still, the 8 drivers locked in because Connor Zilich's win he's not in the playoffs. He's not full time, so it does not matter for him. The 8 drivers locked in on wins: Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chandler Smith, Sam Mayer, Jesse Love, Cole Custer, Riley Herbst. Those are the 8 drivers locked in on wins. AJ Allmendinger, he's locked in on points, 159 above. Sheldon Creed also locked in on points, 145 above. Parker Kligerman, he's good to go on points as well, 85 above on the cut line. And then Sammy Smith sits 43 points above the cut line. I believe that can technically be erased, but it's very, very, very unlikely that will happen. The only way that I think Sammy Smith does not get into the playoffs is if there's a new winner. The only driver that is going to be able to challenge to get in on points is Ryan Sieg, who sits 43 back. And again, that's a very tall task. I think you have to have Sammy Smith not get any stage points, wreck out, finish dead last. You got to basically win both stages and like finish second to even have that happen. And that's a very, very, very tall order, I think. But I mean, there's other drivers like Brandon Jones, Anthony Alfredo, Brendan Poole, Josh Williams, all these other drivers who need a win. And a new winner could knock out Sammy Smith. It could actually even probably knock out Parker Kligerman, who's, only 42 above Sammy Smith. So, there you go. Anything's still possible, though it's seemingly pretty much locked up as we're going to be. Could be a new winner. We'll have to see. And then the Cup Series. So Chris Buescher out of the playoffs. So his win did not affect anybody locking in. Joey Logano still locked in with his win. Christopher Bell, 46 above the cut line. I think he's pretty much to the good. Austin Cindric, 43 above on the cut line. He's in a really good position too. Same with Alex Bowman, who's 41 above the cut line. Daniel Suarez is plus 36. Tyler Reddick plus 30 after his subpar run at Watkins Glen. He's tied with Chase Elliott, who is also 30 above. Ryan Blaney, after his dead last finish at Watkins Glen, is 29 above. Kyle Larson rebounded a little bit. He's up 26. William Byron up 25. And then we have a tie for 11th with Chase Briscoe and Ty Gibbs, both 6 above, which is a big rebound for Chase Briscoe. I think he's like 25 back after Atlanta and now 6 above. That's a really good run for him. But then the 4 below the cut line, and any of these guys can still make it on points. By the way, Denny Hamlin, -6. Brad Keselowski, -12. Martin Truex Jr., despite winning a stage at Watkins Glen and having a pretty decent run, was not enough. He sits 14 back. And Harrison Burton, we know that he's probably not going to win Bristol. Just not going to happen, sorry. He's 20 points back, though. So, I mean, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but pretty much completely out of the realm of possibility. That's how the Cup standings still look. I mean, I guess anybody could still be knocked out technically, but it does not. It's very unlikely that a lot of the drivers up at the top, but it's still a tight race all throughout. So good stuff there. But then we get down to our previews. I guess I'll just make my selections for who I want to win, who I think is going to win at least. For the Truck Series, who do I think is going to win? I mean, it's a tight standings, and I think these drivers, there's only a few points. I think it's going to be anybody's race as far as who gets in. I'm going to pick the upset and pick Rajah Caruth to win and lock himself into the next round, which would push, right now, Grant Enfinger out of the playoffs, which, man, that would be a crazy, crazy turn, wouldn't it? So I'm going to pick him. It's probably not going to happen. It's not very likely, at least. But I could, maybe. Then the Xfinity Series, like I said, the only way I think any of the current top 12 get booted is with a new winner. That's why I'm going to pick a new winner. I'm going to pick Leland Honeyman to win and upset everybody. He's 277 points back. I think he's going to win and lock himself in. Probably not, but maybe. That'd be kind of funny, though. In the Cup Series, no chips this week. Who do I think is going to get locked into the next round? And honestly, this is going to be kind of a sentimental pick. I'm not going to pick Chase Elliott. I'm going to pick Martin Truex because I don't want to see him get eliminated this early. I don't want to see... Harrison Burton moving on would just be a complete fluke, so I don't want to see that happen. I also would think it would be really funny if Denny Hamlin got eliminated in the first round. So I would like to see him. But like Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., I don't want to see them gone yet. I think Ty Gibbs doesn't really deserve to make it any farther. And I think it would be really funny if Kyle Larson or William Byron didn't make it into the next round either. So that would be kind of funny. But I want to pick Martin Truex because, he's still going for that last win. And what better way to do it than when your back's against the wall at Bristol? I know he can still make it in on points, but it's a tight field. Everybody can make it in on points. So it's gotta win. Just gotta win. So anyways, guys, though, that is gonna do it for this episode of the Talking NASCAR podcast. Next week we will go over the new second round for the trucks in the Cup, and we'll preview the Xfinity playoffs and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully with Hitmaster back. I got a new drink review coming next week too, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to be a guest on the Talking NASCAR podcast, all you got to do is join the Pringleton & Company Discord. Link is in the description down below. Request the Talking NASCAR role from both either me or Hitmaster. We'll get you the role, and we will figure out a time to get you on and talk some NASCAR. So that's going to do it, though, for this video. So stay tuned for much more amazing content, including more stuff for me and Hitmaster. So subscribe to both of us. Until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.